Okay. Yesterday we talked about the secondary objects and also characteristic. Hmm? Secondary objects, as I said, they are helpful. They are important for us to have, in the sense that when the primary objects they are not clear, then the secondary objects you have to take up the secondary objects, and you have to be skillful in dealing with the secondary objects, like sitting and touching. You have to be skillful in dealing with the sitting and touching, because not all the time the rising and falling, the abdomen will be clear to you. Okay. We also have to be noticing the walking meditation also. Not all the time the right step, left step, they are clear. Sometimes you get bored. So instead of noticing the bottom, you could notice the bottom too, but sometimes may not be effective. So we go to the secondary objects, and everything that above the ankle. Noticing the movements of the thighs or movement of the whole leg, feeling the weight one side or the other side, feeling the swing, the gait of the walking. And then you observe them to see their motion. Yeah, they can be very helpful, because if you don't do that, the mind easily wants to run away into thoughts, thinking, planning. Also, like in the standing meditation, it's good also for us to take note of the standing meditation. Some of you, like today's interview, has started reporting to describe the standing meditation, which is good. At least you try to notice them. All these phenomena that can be very helpful in the sense that when something is not clear, there's always alternative, always a backup. I've seen in the past that yogis are good in rising and falling only. Everything else they are not good. So they are rising and falling meditator only, and they are not satipatthana meditator or vipassana meditator. So whenever the rising and falling disappear, they kind of like stranded, don't know what to do. I mean, for them, rising, falling is the only important, not walking, not other secondary objects of the sitting, not the daily activities. Rising, falling. Then they narrow down until such a way that they have an idea that just rising and falling is the most important. The rest of it is not so important. Then you see that a lot of time the yogis will have a very difficult time to progress. They love progress, they want to progress, but understanding or doing the application is not there, then not much of a progress coming in. The other one I mentioned towards the end of the talk is the pain. I said this pain, although they are in a way secondary object, because they are not there all the time. But when they are there, they are the big brother. They overtake everything else. When they are there, when they are strong, powerful, you cannot go back to your rising and falling. You cannot go to the sitting and touching. The pain will just pull you to note the pain, pull you there into the pain. So, your job is to make sure that you have the right way of dealing with the pain. Now, especially not just only the pain, but anything that is unpleasant to you, disagreeable to you. Most of the time, the first thing we want is to push away this object or this thing or this situation. We want to push away. We don't want to face it. We want to suppress it. So because of that, when it comes to because of that, nature in all of us, then when it comes to the pain, the first thing back of the mind is to make the pain go away. And we use several ways and we do a lot of things just to make the pain go away. Sometimes for some yogis is that when the pain arises, they already you sit there, uh, you just twist the body a little bit, and then after that you twist that to the side a bit. just that little bit, in order to avoid the pain. The leg pain, you just shift it higher. You see, that little thing, you just want to avoid the pain. In samatha meditation, sometimes you do that, and that is not a problem, because your job is not to watch the pain. Pain arises, usually they'll tell you just forget about the pain, just leave it at the background, move the body or whatever. But then you don't lose the meditation object. That is the tranquility meditation way. That is the way of samatha way. But in the vipassana way, you cannot do in this way. You have to sit there, keep it still, and pain is one of the phenomena that it will arise in all of us, more or less. And it comes in strongly, especially for the beginners. That's the problem, yeah. They come in strongly for the beginners. As you begin to meditate this one, you find that the pain can be excruciating. Sitting after sitting. And it will push you to see how far your confidence can last, how far your patience can last. Yeah? One of the dropouts of yogis in vipassana meditation is this pain. Cannot take the pain. This retreat, so much pain. Previous other retreat, also so much pain. But they find that, it's so difficult. Why in the world I come to a retreat and go and look at the pain? Isn't it I supposed to come to the retreat and feel good about myself, feel calm and peaceful? And here I am, there's pain here, morning pain, afternoon pain, evening pain. I think tomorrow will still have more pain. So one of the biggest reason that yogis drop out from this vipassana meditation is this pain. Without understanding of how to deal with the pain. Now, one of the first thing that we have to deal when we want to deal with the pain in more in-depth manner, in more deeper manner, is to remove the wrong understanding first, the wrong perception about the pain. You see, the pain or anything that's unpleasant to you, all these unpleasant phenomena, they are not the culprit now. They are not the problem. The problem is you dislike the pain, the anger towards the pain, the aversion towards the pain. And the aversion is sometimes at the behind the unpleasant feelings or unpleasant phenomena. So instead of seeing the anger towards it or the aversion towards it, we cover up, we remove the pain instead of removing the problem underlying it. So here, because of that, without much good understanding of it, the first thing about when it comes to the pain, the yogi have that idea is to remove the pain, to get rid of the pain. They don't see that the pain as part of the phenomena. And sometimes the teacher says that the the pain is your good friend. Sometimes will be your BFF. No, a BFF. Best friend forever. Because sometimes the pain, when it comes in, it can help you to make everything very clear. Yeah? But we put that aside first. So here, when you take the pain wrongly, the mind wants to just get rid of the pain. Yeah? So with this understanding, then when you pay attention to the pain, your job is just to see the pain as they are. Okay? When a yogi wants to get rid of the pain, a number of signs that at least you try to notice. One of it is that sometimes learning about this noting, labeling, and so on, noting the pain as they are. Sometimes because the pain can be strong, excruciating, the mind notes the pain in order to get rid of the pain. Pulling, numbing. Why are you still there? Numbing, pulling. I thought I'm supposed to note you and you're supposed to go away. But numbing, pulling. And yet you're still there. Yeah. So you're using the front to note something, but the behind there, you want to get rid of it. You don't realize that actually your aversion is already there. So your job is not to get rid of it. Your job is to learn to accept them as they are, or as best as possible. Yeah? So this is one of the biggest problems that yogis have. Yeah? Now, sometimes in the past, maybe when you watch the pain, as you watch the phenomena of this unpleasantness, let's say the legs numb pain, numbing there, and then when you note them, they sort of like disappear on their own. So perhaps you do it another time, you note there's some other pain, it also disappear on its own. But the third time, you thought that in the previous, you have that idea that while doing the noting of the pain, it's going to disappear because that's what it shows you. But now when you note the pain, at this present one, it doesn't disappear. It keeps going and going. And how come in the past, when I note the pain, it disappears, and this time it does not disappear? Then you may think that there's something wrong with your noting. Yeah? You think that you're noting because of that understanding you thought that you have from noting the pain, then the pain can disappear. You thought that this one, you note them, you thought that it also will disappear. But then it didn't disappear. It doesn't disappear. So then you start to put in more harder noting, note, as what I said just now. Again here, the past experience when you note the pain, sometimes the pain may not be that strong. You note them, it comes up, it peaks for a while, then it's kind of like disappear on its own. You didn't tell the pain to go away, neither you welcome the pain, so it disappears on its own. First time, second time, it may disappear on its own, but the third time, it doesn't disappear that fast. It wants to stay, it wants to peak, it wants to climax the pain for a period of time, and your patience is running thin right now. You cannot take it anymore. Then this is where your little aversion starts crawling in, starts coming in. So you have to watch that aversion. So the moment it starts to you have the sign that you want to get rid of the pain, you want to move the pain, that means behind it, the aversion is already there. Or this is the usual one. You are waiting for the clock to chime. Yes. That is also another sign that your patience is already wearing thin. In other words, this time, it comes also as not just as um, aversion, but it comes as thinking. It thinking about the time, thinking about doing something else. It's just that the mind want to shift into thinking in order to avoid the pain. So you look out for this type of sign that when the mind has that aversion towards it, then you have to note thinking, or aversion, dislike that's coming up. Yeah? Although the pain can be very powerful, and then after that, perhaps you cannot deal with the pain. It's too strong. At that time, you put up your white flag already. You throw in the towel. That's it, So you sort of like move the leg. Okay, fine. But what is important to me is not that part where you shift your leg. What is important to me is that the front part of it, when it gets very strong, you learn to deal with observing the pain. It gets strong, it gets more, maybe it move here, it change there, and then it gets strong, it reduce, or whatever that is going there. Then also you notice the aversion that arises, or the thinking mind that arises, that's connected to the aversion, or connected to the pain, connected to aversion. I want you to able to notice this part. And this part is where your skills of learning to deal with unpleasant feelings will become good, will become better over time. Yeah? So you have to have that. You don't worry about you cannot last, but what and more important is that you have to watch it carefully. Watch them carefully, but at least try first. This is one thing that a yogi should do. Now, in order for you to last on the pain, the excruciating pain, for a longer period of time, it's not really what you do in your sitting meditation, actually. It's very much to do in your walking meditation. And that walking meditation, it gives you the energy, it gives you the power for you to able to sustain on the pain. You see, while the pain is excruciating and is strong, and here you are, you want to like bear up with it as much as you can, but your mind cannot take it, the body cannot take it. Then you cannot take it, no matter how you try, you give up, right? But you do it in this way. When it comes to the walking meditation, this walking meditation, especially when you do the third phase, the lifting, pushing, dropping, and you pay attention to it carefully. Try to do it for when there's a lot of pain, try to do it for about half an hour, especially in the walking. When you find that after sitting, you have some pain, so this is the time for you to buck up on your third phase. And you notice it as clear as possible, because every noting that you're going to do is going to provide you with that strong mindfulness and strong energy. So you build up that energy, you build up that mental energy, and then when it comes to the sitting, when you have that pain, that energy will help you to sustain on the pain for a longer period of time. A longer period of time when you go through a pain, 1 minute is a very long time, isn't it? When it's so painful, you're just waiting for the clock to strike. It feels like forever. Although it can be just like a few more minutes away. So that is where the energy and help you to sustain for it to go longer on the pain. It's very much to do with your walking meditation. And also some degree in the daily activities too. So this walking meditation can be very helpful in order for us to sustain it longer before the aversion arises. So day after day, that what you have been doing over here, you see that over some time, you can able to sit with the pain just a little bit more, compared to maybe for the first day or second day. So by here, some of you able to sit with the pain a little bit more. So here is where, over the time, the accumulative of that mindfulness, the energy, then when you come to the sitting, you can sit for it a bit longer with the pain. Yeah? So this is one thing that we should take note of. The other area that a yogi should also take note of is that wrong perception of how to deal with the pain. Some yogis, when they do not have this technique of paying attention to notice the pain, but they want to sit with the pain because the pain is already there. So what they do is that, as if they are gritting the teeth, and then they sit, and then even you got like 15 more minutes to go, and the pain is so strong right now, excruciating right now. So instead of they pay attention to what is going on, they just grit the teeth and then the gung ho, like a warrior, they fight through. So they grit the teeth, then they feel so happy with when the time. Then they feel like, triumph. Perhaps some of us may not able to sit for 1 hour, and this is the first time you could sit for 1 hour without changing your position. And you stay there and you just grit your teeth and you feel good about yourself that you can finish that hour. I mean, yes, it's good, but to me, it's not good enough. To me, it's not good enough. Because here, when it comes to the pain, if you just bear up with the pain without able to notice or scrutinizing the true nature of the pain or the characteristic of the pain, then it's good but not good enough. Because you haven't go into Vipassana way. If let's say the yogi is not taught to observe the characteristic or the sensation or the nature of the pain, then they just bear up with the pain. And they just bear up with the pain just to finish that hour. Or sometimes they are even more so-called courageous, Not only just 1 hour, they're going to sit there for 3 hours. No matter what comes. Leg break, hips break. Whatever it is, then they are not going to come up. Yeah. We don't want you to go through that, because a lot of times, sometimes you do that, you're going to end up with physical injury instead of meditation. Yeah. I've seen yogis, they sit there for some time until the leg is so numb, nothing, and then they get up and they try to walk. Suddenly the whole leg, no energy, no muscle, they fell and they broke their ankle. Or sometimes even with that sitting, without falling, even with that sitting for 3 hours, sometimes you're going to get a lot of injury. Instead, in the sense that swollen inflammation, that, when we are here meditating, when we deal with the pain, for 1 hour, you get up, then you walk for a while, then the pain is over. Next sitting, you come back, it comes up again, you deal with it. After finish that hour, go for a walk a bit, it's over. So this one is more or less, we call it the meditation pain. Yeah, theoretically, we say it's just a meditation pain. We use that pain to train the mind to develop that mindfulness, further mindfulness. So we are here not to push ourselves until we injure the body. And we don't want to injure the body. We don't want to make the body becomes having some disinflammation and so on, and then it affects the following days of meditation. You are good in that particular sitting or 2 or 3 sittings that are good, but then subsequent days you're going to have a problem with all this pain and all the tension and pulling, and it's permanent more or less, in the sense of morning, at night you sleep also, you have all this type of pain. So we don't want to push you towards that area. Yeah? So now, so the yogi also have to have clear up the mind, clear up the wrong perception. It's not just only bearing up with the pain, not just only endure the pain, but to able to notice the characteristic of the pain, how the pain is changing. You still need to endure. You cannot say that you want to see the characteristic and you don't endure it. You still need to endure the pain. You need to have that strong patience on the pain. At the same time, you watch its characteristic. Now, watching this characteristic here is to notice when the unpleasant feelings, is to notice their, in the beginning, you notice the different types of pain. For example, this time you sit down. At least you know what type of pain is that. This type of pain, pulling pain, numbing pain, sawing pain, like somebody saw your leg away. Huh? Sometimes it's throbbing pain. Sometimes it's a dull pain. Sometimes you don't have a vocabulary for it. You just know that it's unpleasant, it's painful. It's then just note it as pain, 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 pain. At least you know its character in that way. At the same time, the second part is to see how the pain is changing. Is it getting more and more and more, or is it getting less? Or is it moving from one spot to another spot? Does it move around, or is it stagnant in an area? So what is going on with the pain? So your job is to see how the pain is growing, is diminishing, and when it disappears, don't expect it to disappear, and just keep noticing. Sometimes it disappears, sometimes before that one disappear, another one has already growing strong. And because, as I said, you have to take what is prominent, and what is prominent is excruciating right now. And then you have to take the other one that is prominent. And then you follow one after the other, one after the other. Until the time's up. Not until the pain go away. The pain won't go away. Not until the pain go away, until the time's up. We use the pain as to train the mindfulness, to develop further mindfulness. You need that mindfulness, you need that effort through the walking. You put it into the to the pain, and while you're noticing the pain, even more mindfulness will grow from there. It's like it rolls further and further. So don't take this pain as something it's terrible. Some of us, we judge our sitting wrongly because, again, it's a wrong perception, wrong understanding. To you all is that, then you say, you come to the interview room. Oh, Bhante, today I got great sitting, wonderful sitting. The moment you say that, I'm very cautious already. Because your great and your good is not my great and not my good. You can interpret it wrongly. And you don't realize it. For example, connected with the pain. Oh, Bhante, today I sit there meditating. I don't feel any pain at all. The whole body is very calm and clear, rising, falling. I can notice, but no pain. Therefore, good sitting. Then other sitting, I have pain here. I try to note them here and there. Those sitting, not so good. So when you judge that, you judge it wrongly. So the pain again is not your marker for your progress. Not just because there's no pain is good sitting, and a lot of pain not a good sitting. With that, if you have that idea, then you're going to have, then every time you look for something that is no pain, then you feel good about yourself. Whereas, no, to me, it's not that. To me, it's not whether you have pain or no pain. It's how you pay attention when the pain is there. If you're able to notice the pain as its characteristic of pulling, changing, this pressure, hardness, then when you notice this way, then it's a good sitting. To me, you are doing something right. If the anger arises, if the aversion arises, you pay attention. Oh, I notice that aversion, I dislike the pain right now, the thoughts come up, I try to notice them. Then, to me, it's a good sitting. But to you, you may feel that you are struggling inside there. Yeah. The noting mind, the observing mind, that is important for us to take note of. Not whether you have pain or no pain to judge whether your sitting is good or not. Yeah. A lot of people do that. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of yogis, they do that. As I said, your good and my good is very different. Yeah. So this is one thing. Now also another time is that, just now I mentioned a little bit about sometimes yogis due to their, they go for retreats. Sometimes they hear talks about there's beginning, middle, and ending. Things will finally come to an end. So when they hear this type of understanding in different way, when it comes in relation with the pain, what they do is that they want to wait for the pain to finally disappear. Here is different from the first one. It's not about getting rid. The mind has no aversion towards the pain. All right? It doesn't have aversion towards the pain. But the mind has an idea that anything that arises must disappear. Because the book says so. The book says so. Everything that arises must disappear. So, now the pain arises. Surely it will disappear. So what the yogi, with that idea, the yogi sit there, wait for the pain to disappear. Then 45 minutes, still not disappear. Wait until bell rings, still not disappear. Then they still carry on sitting. Then they sit. 1.5 hours later, still not disappear. Then they get frustrated with themselves. Am I doing right or am I doing wrong? I thought that everything arises must disappear. Yeah. So again here, this idea, although theoretically you are right, but in the practice you are wrong. Theory you are right, but the practice you are wrong. Because at that moment of time, while you are meditating, while you are sitting, it doesn't show you the disappearance of the pain yet. It shows you more and more. It may change here and there, but it doesn't show you completely disappearance of the pain. But the mind is expecting something to disappear. You expect the pain to disappear. That expectation becomes the problem. Yeah, you expect something. And in other words, when there's expectation, there's a hope. It's equivalent to craving. You crave for something to happen to your, to what you think is right, to what you have learned or towards your theory. But the experience itself, it doesn't show you yet. Because perhaps you are not in that level yet. Not yet, at least. So, this idea, these thoughts, You have to put it aside. You have to put this wrong idea aside. You have to see the object as they are, as they show you. If at times within that hour, it shows you the phenomena of it arise, it climax, is strong, then after that it disappears. Okay, you take note of it in that way because it shows you. But in other times, if it does not show you, it climax and then it's strong, and then after that, towards the bell rings and it's powerful, then you don't expect it to go away. You finish the hour. If you want to go on for another 5 minutes, well and good. But at the back of the mind, make sure you don't expect that the pain is going to disappear. Yeah. So even you have that right theory, but application during this time, it is not right because there's a certain degree of expectation is there. So far can follow. Here is, this is before you note the pain. This is the wrong perception that you have to at least to clear it up. And on another level, on another time, sometimes yogis also do something, Again here, it's because they learn a lot of their Dhamma. Through the teachings of the Buddha, they learn here and there a lot of their Dhamma, which is good, wonderful. But application of the Dhamma, applied it wrongly and the wrong time also, on the wrong condition too. Yeah? Now say you are going through excruciating pain again, painful sensation. Then, because you are going through suffering, all this painful difficulty, then you start, may I be free from harm and danger. May I be free from all this suffering. What are you doing right now? May I be free from all this pain, to be free from all that. Just because you learn some metta, just because you learn some compassion, karuna, then you go and apply it while you are there. Because why? Because you are suffering right now. Who else is suffering? But it says that we have to love ourselves. So be free from all this suffering. You see? This way is not the right way. You are using the Dhamma at the wrong time, at the wrong purpose. You are not supposed to do that. Every now and then, I hear yogis do that because they just cannot take the pain. They use the metta as their, you patch your pain. You use a patch called all this thing. You patch it there. To get rid of that pain. Something like that. You thought that you use this metta just to soothe your bodily suffering. So because you have all this knowledge, Dhamma knowledge. So it's not the way. That is not the way. You put your metta aside, you put your compassion aside, you pay attention. Your job is to pay attention to the whole nature of the pain or whatever that is going on. So you take note of that pain. You don't bring all these things in. So you see, just by dealing with the pain, a lot of times, now this is only some of the things that we shared out. Sometimes certain yogis have even more peculiar way of dealing with the pain, or in the sense that you just want to get rid of the pain one way or another. So, now, if you're free from that wrong thinking, wrong perception, wrong idea of this pain, finally it's just watching the pain as they really are. Watching the pain, that means when it arises, you pay attention to the pain and you notice it changes or whatever that's going on. Now here, when it comes to towards the end and the aversion arises, the difficulty arises, Then this time you begin to notice the aversion, the dislike towards it. And you try to notice the aversion as best as you can together with the pain. So if at times you can overcome the aversion, that means the aversion is not there, then actually the mind can go back on the pain and can still be stable with the pain and note it until the hour is up, which is good. But a lot of times it's not so easy for us to do that. It's like we try our best and then still so painful, still so much aversion, and you cannot do anything else. So what are you going to do? You've got 15 more minutes to go. Still painful, there's a lot of aversion. So the next thing you have to do, of course, you have to shift already. It's no point sitting there and you cannot do anything. But the shifting of your position will be the last resort. As much as possible, try not to move the body. Just sit there. Don't change the leg in whatever way. Try to sit there as long as you can to build up a strong habit. But if you really, really cannot, really, you try every way, you note everything, and yet still so painful. This is where you have to shift your leg. For example, you shift your leg. Let's say you want to shift your leg. Now, before you shift the leg, again here we note the intention. And the intention and also the purpose is not to get rid of, just to get rid of the pain. It's actually also to continue that mindfulness. Because the now is too painful, you cannot deal with it, then you shift it so that the pain disappear, and the next thing is that you want to continue noting until the time's up. So you slowly shift, slowly move the leg slowly, as if like you slowly pull it up and then you shift it to another position, maybe to bring the leg back to you sit like one side where the leg is at the buttock there, sideways. One is cross-legged, one at the side there, something like that. So if you could do that, then make sure you stay on that position until the time's up. Sometimes within like half an hour, it's already that you cannot take it anymore. Okay, you shift. But if you want to shift, you shift mindfully. And you shift it with the right purpose that you want to continue the noting of this sensation of the body, mind, to finish the hour. So you shift, good. But it also would be good that you keep it to one shifting per sitting. And not, pain again, go again. Here pain again, then go again. No, you're not supposed to do that. Quota is only one. And no carry forward. Only one quota. Make sure you stay there, you move. You can only move one time. So make sure you try your best as you can. Don't shift and finally finish the hour. Perhaps not every sitting, but if you could, as best as you can, this has to be done. So this pain, this sensation of pain, they're going to come in every retreat that you're going to go. As long as you have this body and the mind, the unpleasant feelings will be there. Even the Buddha also have a lot of unpleasant feelings. But what they don't have is that they don't have aversion towards the feelings. That is a big difference. The pain we still have is we are still human. We're still human as long as the human is there. Sickness, old age, pain, and all that will still be there. So there's no running away from it. It's only we are free from that aversion, or less aversion towards the pain, more acceptance towards the pain. Now in future, as you keep on developing, it's not the pain is getting less or getting more. It's that the capacity of your mindfulness is so much more stronger that however the pain comes in, however strong the pain comes in, the mind can take it all in. Sometimes you see yogis, they can sit there 1 hour without shifting, without moving. Wow, you think that they are free from all the pain. You meditate, you open up your eyes. Wow, the people, the yogis in front of me, still sitting so calmly, so peacefully. You think that they are free from pain. No, they are not free from pain. They still have a lot of pain. It's just that the capacity of the mind to take the pain is much more better compared to previous time, because of more development came in over time. So the same thing, every one of you, if you keep on pushing, if you keep on going, the capacity for you to able to take note of the pain will be much better. No matter how strong the pain is there, but the mind is not affected. The mind is stable, the mind is equanimous, the mind can notice what is truly going on without getting into so much aversion and or anger. So this is something on this part of on the pain. Now we already look at all this, like pain sensation, paying attention to the pain, watching the pain, noticing the characteristic of the pain or characteristics of the change. We also discuss about characteristic of touching, sensations that you have to pay attention to. Characteristic of this rising and falling, that you have to watch the motion, the wind element, the tightness, the fast or slow. In the walking, you notice the movement, you notice the sensation, you notice some pulling sensation in the upper part, you notice the weight, you notice all these things, which is good, because to enter into vipassana, you have to take note of this type of characteristics. Now, characteristic-wise, when we look at characteristic or its nature of an object, in and one object, let's say we take up a single object and you pull it out and we try to look into it, at least on the theoretical level. As on the theoretical level, we look at it a little bit more. Yeah? There are three types of characteristic. There are three types of characteristic within an object. Okay, within an object, there are three types of characteristic. The first characteristic is what we call the intrinsic characteristic, individual characteristic. The first one, intrinsic or individual characteristic. Number two is a triple characteristic. Triple characteristic. Here, triple means there's a beginning, middle, and ending. Okay, triple characteristic. And the third one is called the formative characteristic. Formative, they call it universal characteristic. Universal here, because all phenomena will have this arising and passing away, moment after moment. Yeah? And within this arising and passing away, this is where the true impermanence, true anicca, true dukkha, and also the true anatta will arise. Not by thinking, but truly experiencing just because you're noticing this moment to moment of arising and passing away. Okay? All phenomena will have this three. Will have this three. Whether it's a pain, whether it's a thought, whether it's an anger, whether it's the mindfulness, whether it's a concentration, whether it's the wisdom factor, whether it's your pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings, all of them have these three characters, three level of characteristics. Now, the first level of characteristic is what we call the individual characteristic. Individual characteristic means that they are different from one to another. Just like we are noticing rising and falling, a wind element. A wind element is different from fire element because the fire element is warm, is cold, and you can distinctively able to know them. You can able to separate them. Separate them here again is not by just theory. It's actually by your own mind that is precise, thorough, clear, that you can able to notice them. They are different. You can notice the different types of pain. This pain is different from that pain. That pain is different from the other pain. You can differentiate the sensation of when anger arises. You can feel the characteristic of an anger that's boiling, that is strong, that is like it's going to explode. The characteristic. Then you notice that this characteristic is different from, let's say, drowsy state of mind. A drowsy state of mind, again, it has got its own characteristic. The mind is dull, the mind is heavy, something like that. Yeah? Characteristic. So here, collectively, we call them individual characteristic. That's what you are doing right now. To enter into vipassana, the mind has to be powerful, the mind has to be strong, and then when you look at the object, firstly, it looks at the characteristic, the first characteristic of that object. In other words, you pay attention to hard, soft, warm, cold, again and again, that what I've mentioned. Now, noticing this characteristic is important because it opens up the door of vipassana, and finally, once it opens up, the path towards enlightenment will start. And it all starts with this noticing this characteristic. When you notice this characteristic, you begin to able to distinguish them carefully. This is where you also begin to distinguish them as mind and matter, mentality and physicality. And the mentality and physicality has a different form of characteristic in that way, collectively. Sometimes, for example, you sit down, you watch your rising and falling. You watch your rising and falling. Then while you are watching this rising and falling, you notice this phenomena of the movement in this way. And then at the same time, you also notice that the mind that is knowing, the mind that is noting, is observing this rising and falling. And both of them come together. And the mind can differentiate this one, the mind can differentiate this one. And it's not just only one time, it repeats itself in many different ways. Sometimes you may notice noticing some sensation of the palms, and then you may notice pulsation, impulsion, coming and going, and you notice that the mind that able to notice all these things as it happened. Then you can differentiate the mind, the mentality, and you can differentiate the physicality, the sensation here and there. So because you're able to do that repeatedly for a number of times, this is where the door of vipassana begins to open. And it opens up with just seeing this phenomena of this mind and matter only. And there's no third party involved. There's no soul involved. There's no external being involved. It's only these two. Because here, your mind is concentrated, your mind is heightened up. And it's heightened up, and yet you don't see all these phenomena, all things that you believe that they exist. But here, they don't show you. It only shows you the mind and the matter only. So this is where we begin to have a right view about what is happening with this mind and body. In this mind and body, firstly, is that it has to separate between what is the nature of the mind and what is the nature of the body. What is the characteristic of the mind? What is the characteristic of the body? So this one, it helps to able to distinguish that, which is good. So because you are looking at this phenomena of this characteristic again and again, day after day, day after day, then it shows it to you in that way. And to top it up, as you keep on practicing, it not only shows you how these two phenomena are separate between the mind and the bodily phenomena. The next thing, as you keep on going, as you gradually develop, it shows you even more that this mentality, this state of mind, and this physicality, it shows you how both of them are conditioning each other, how they are interacting with each other. We've been doing it here and there. For example, when you notice your intention, and especially in the beginning part, you may not see the deeper aspect of it yet, but we are going towards it. You are noticing the intention, you're noticing the leg is moving. You begin to see conditioning, the mind that is conditioning the body right now. You go deeper into the development, it shows you even more of this conditioning aspect. As if like everything becomes so much more clearer than before. And this time you actually see the mind that arises. You see the consciousness of that intention arises, not just only labeling. You see the condition that arises, you see the mind that arises, you see the actual movement that takes place in the beginning of the sensation, of the movement. So you begin to see this conditioning in that way. Also, you see conditioning in different way. For example, you begin to see conditioning in the sense of you notice some itchiness, unpleasantness that arises, and you notice it. Then at that moment of time, it triggers off unpleasant thoughts, unpleasant feelings. Then you notice, you sit there and you notice sensation, thoughts arises, sensation, thought arises, sensation, thought arises. And you see again conditioning. You didn't do anything, you just sit there as if like you are a spectator observing what is going on. And later part, if the sensation starts to disappear, the thoughts and the anger, everything starts to diminish, starts to quiet down. It sounds simple, but at that moment of time, when you look at things, you are looking at it from a perspective of non-self, not I am is triggering this, or he or they or it is triggering it. It's just body and mind are interacting with each other right now. Then you see the non-self in that aspect. One of the characteristic of non-self in that way. So it's nothing, paying attention to this characteristic, it can show you in so many different ways. Right now, my sharing over here is to at least to give you an understanding that what you're noticing right now, it can go a lot more than what you think you have right here. And everything is already inside this body and mind. You're not that far away. You don't have to go into go and up into the Himalaya mountain and look for some teacher and look for some special guru to give you all kinds of power and so on. Everything is already inside here. Everything is already here. It's only for us to have that clarity of mind, that mindfulness, in order for us to see what is going on. So here is the first characteristic, the characteristic of the individual characteristic. You see this individual characteristic, and you see the conditioning of this characteristic in so many different ways. So to enter vipassana is to make sure you notice this characteristic. The second characteristic here is called the triple characteristic. Triple here means there's a beginning, middle, ending. Beginning, middle, ending. Sometimes they use the word beginning, sustaining, ending, or dissolution or disappearing. Different books have mentioned it differently. Okay? Now, every phenomena also have this beginning, middle, ending. Theory says like that. But then, just like pain earlier on I mentioned, it will not show you all at one go. Beginning, middle, and ending, sometimes it may shows you the beginning part only at your certain level. At a certain level, it may shows you the ending part only. Certain level, it shows you the middle part only. Then on certain level, it shows you everything. So it doesn't come at one go. It doesn't come at one go. So what you should do is that you don't have to worry about the beginning, middle, and ending, because what is important is to look out for those characteristics in the beginning, to notice the sensation, hard, soft, and you keep noticing them. As you keep noticing them, you will begin to see slowly and slowly the characteristic of beginning, middle, and ending will start coming in. You don't have to purposely look for them. It's a gradual development. But the first characteristic, you have to purposely look for them. That you have to look for them. Then, as you go further, then it will show you the deeper characteristic, because the deeper characteristic also is based on the individual characteristic. So, what do? You sit there. Let's say you notice the rising and falling. You watch that rising and falling, and you watch that this rising, you begin to see exactly how the rising starts. And it starts, perhaps you don't see how it ends. Again, it shows you the beginning very clear. It doesn't show you the end. It shows you very clear. Sometimes it not just shows you the beginning, but it also shows you the mind that arises. Then only the rising arises. If without that mind, it's just stop there. Just like your feet, the body also, the rising and falling also, it appears in that way. So you begin to see not just only characteristic right of the individual characteristics, but you also begin to see the beginning part of a process, a whole thing that is coming up right now. You see the beginning of it, but you don't see actually how it ends. You don't see exactly how it disappears. So you don't worry about the ending. Although you know that theory says that there's an ending, but here you don't see the ending. You see the beginning very clearly. So therefore, you note the beginning as it appears to you. This is an important aspect, because sometimes in different places that I've been to, yogis are taught right in the beginning of a meditation. Yogis are taught to notice beginning, middle, and end of the object. It's going to be very tension to the yogi. So that you sit down there, first day you come in, you're going to force your mind, you're going to grit your teeth, rising, stop, falling, then you grit your teeth. It's going to be so tense up. If you follow this just beginning, middle, and ending, because books say so. So if you follow it in that way, you're going to up with all kinds of tension, all kinds of stress, and you cannot go any more further. Your confidence, your faith towards this practice, when it starts to break up, nobody to tell you how to mend it back again, you will give up on vipassana because you start at the wrong footing. Huh? So we'll stop here for tonight. We'll continue on this thing tomorrow night. Okay.